Comic book movies have kind of hit a rough patch lately.
Hi, small child. Could you
as if no time has passed.
Ha! Gay!
And audiences are noticing. But 2026 could be the year that changes everything. We're getting Spider-Man Brand New Day featuring Mark Ruffalo's Hulk and Jon Bernthal returning as the Punisher. We're getting the first Avengers movie since Endgame, with the OG X-Men from your dad's favorite movie, X-Men 2000, jumping back into the fight. Marvel looks like they're swinging big, and DC is bringing us Supergirl and Clayface, trying to build momentum of their own. But here's the real question. Is this enough to reignite the comic book movie hype of old? Or are audiences done pulling out their wallets at the movie theaters? Today on Comic Book Cinema, I'm joined by Toller Talks, Generation Offended, and Chazzy from the Side Project podcast, a crew with nearly 20,000 subscribers combined, to break down the future of comic book movies in 2026. Hit that like button, join the madness, tell us what you think in the comments. As always, I promise every comment will be answered.
Comic Book Cinema, where we bring you the best comic book movie content.
It's really crazy to me. First of all, I just want to say that in the next 2 years, we're only going to get 3 Marvel movies. In 2027, we're only going to get 1 Marvel movie, but we'll get to that later. First, I want to start off with June of next year, 2026, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. What does everybody feel as far as excitement level about Supergirl?
I don't think it's a good start for the DCEU personally. I don't think they should have hit the ground running with that film. They should have, done the big hitters like Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, get the big guys rolling first before you start bringing in these side characters. I've never read Supergirl, so I'm not overly excited for it personally. But
I agree, definitely do. I think like Green Lantern maybe should have been like something to go with next, do something different, But at the same time, I think the one rebuttal that if you call it that, the rebuttal I have, James Gunn is good with lesser known characters. That's like something that I think he is very well with. Not that Supergirl's like super, lesser known, but she is, she's not a Green Lantern, right? In film, you know what I mean? She's not a Superman. She's not a Batman. She's not like one of the top that everybody's super, super excited for. But I do think James Gunn does have the ability to maybe turn that around and have a little bit more excitement than we think. And I just want to say that's coming from someone who, myself, I'm not a James Gunn fan, but I give kudos where kudos is due.
I don't know where you guys line up as far as your comic book loyalties, but if you look up up here, this is something that's going to change with my setup. But all of this is Batman stuff. The crowning jewel here in the center is the Batman animated series signed to me by Kevin Conroy, which is my Batman prior to his passing. So I'm with Generation Offended on this, but I can understand where Chassis coming from. But I think if there was a level of excitement, if people were still excited about comic book films, you could get away with doing some of these more obscure, these more side characters. But since you're trying to revitalize people's excitement in it, probably going for a Green Lantern or a Wonder Woman or a Batman, as redundant as it's starting to get, might be better. Supergirl, don't really care for it. Millie Alcock, I believe, is the actress. Not a fan of hers. But Clayface, I am excited about Clayface. That seems like that's going to be cool.
And we'll get to that. That's Yeah. So this is my thoughts on James Gunn and Supergirl. I feel like a lot of times in our current day society, people tend to get tribalistic. If you're a Republican, then you cannot like this movie. Or if you're a Democrat, you cannot like. I feel like a lot of people, and maybe some people just based solely off of political views, do not like James Gunn. And I don't think that's right. Just strictly from a directorial standpoint, I got to say, and this isn't popular in all of my circles and all of some of the other circles, but everything James Gunn has given us as a fandom, I have not only liked, but mostly loved, with the exception of Guardians 2 and Peacemaker Season 2. I only say that about Peacemaker because I felt like that was the first time ever where James Gunn either made the conscious decision to start going a little political. Let's throw a couple naked dudes in this Peacemaker party, or maybe he was getting pressured from the studio. I don't know why that decision was made, but it just seemed like one of those things that us as a fandom are used to seeing, and we're just kind of waiting to get, offended about something. And that was just thrown in there, which I didn't love that. But overall, I still like Peacemaker as a whole. But once again, James Gunn, even the Superman movie, I didn't love the new Superman James Gunn movie, but
Same.
I thought it was really solid though.
Yeah.
So with all that being said, when we're talking about Supergirl, I was a lot more excited about Supergirl until I saw her pop up at the end of Superman, because they're going for this like angsty teenager, I'm cursing, I'm drinking liquor. Like, to me, that didn't really feel like Supergirl, because I like Helen Slater Supergirl. That's what I grew up with. She's supposed to be kind of, similar to Superman in a lot of ways. So I am definitely a lot less excited after seeing her pop up in that film.
Well, if you allow me to interject, we're currently trying to see, we're seeing this trend, right? Especially with Disney, where Disney is taking older characters or some of their older films and they're reimagining them to appeal to a new generation of fans. We saw that with Snow White, we saw Lilo and Stitch. Most popular as of recently is Predator Badlands and Alien Earth. But when they're doing that, they're not really paying attention to the fan base that made those characters what they are to this day. So when you bring up, Supergirl, Millie Alcock's Supergirl, they're at the end of Superman, and she's this young, angsty, she's drunk, she's belligerent. That's not appealing to the 30-plus-year-olds in the crowd, who were the people that grew up reading those comic books and watching those old shows. That's appealing to the 20-something-year-olds that are in college and can relate to that humor. And I don't like that direction at all.
It is in the comics, though, for anybody that didn't know that. Almost panel for panel, I believe there's a kind of like movements and the way that she did. I think that's what James Gunn based it on. I don't think it's a whole thing. I think it's just a portion of one comic, but forgive me, I can't speak on it 100%, but they did pull that from the comics. So there is some comic accuracy to that, but I still agree. I agree with both of your points 100%.
But I will say this, at least they're not setting her up to be a typical, what we're all tired of, girl boss character. Yeah. Her being an angsty teen that's drunk, going to Red Sun planets just so she can get drunk. That almost starts her in a interesting direction in some ways, because there's a chance for redemption later on down the road.
Yeah,
so
she's already flawed. Yeah.
Going back to your point about Peacemaker season 2, Jonathan, I think Peacemaker season 2 is what James Gunn will do to the rest of the DCU. I think that was like him with his, he had no restrictions. It was all him. He was doing whatever he wanted to do. And you got, well, you said it got a little political. I mean, they went to a Nazi world and said that it wasn't different from ours, which was pretty insane.
Wild.
It's very interesting to me that James Gunn is so enthralled with Nazis, because we're starting to see that pop up more and more in a lot of his projects. Now we're starting to see the word Nazi gets thrown around a lot in today's political climate. Honestly, way too much.
Just come look at my comment section.
Right. Okay, you want to go to Nazi world, that's fine. But then you start making Adebayo say things like, oh, well, our world's not that different. Are you kidding me? Like, our world's not that different than a world where a black woman's getting chased down the street.
It was also like they showed it to be like this perfect, like crimeless world as well. Like when they went into it, like it's awesome here. Wow, it's like this.
Honestly, there were a lot of inconsistencies in that show, and then that was one thing they don't really think about these things, I guess, before they do them. Another issue that I had was like Rick Flag Sr. out of nowhere was just like this villain. I mean, I understand that after the death of your son, you would probably be, not very happy. But to me, that didn't really make sense narratively for that character. But, I guess we'll see where it goes. July the 31st, 2026, we have Spider-Man Brand New Day, from a Spider-Man that I didn't initially think would be my favorite all-time, like overall Peter Parker and Spider-Man. But I got to say, I really love Tom Holland in this role.
Yeah, Garfield is still my number one. Man, the Maguire, I ask this conversation whenever I'm doing like interviews, whether it be on my podcast or I do interviews for cons and stuff. And I always ask like, who's your ultimate Spider-Man in film? Toby, Andrew, or Tom. And there's a decent mix in my experience. But for me, I think I got to go with Garfield. But I also agree with you, Jonathan. Like Tom has grown on me like crazy. I'll take it from, I can't remember who said this. Forgive me if you're watching this, but in one of the questions that I asked somebody else, they said, said the reason that they choose Tom is because of how we were introduced to him in the MCU. He's just like a little kid.
Yeah.
He's like the little Spider-Man. Like we haven't really got that story, like showcasing him that way. And that spoke to me. I was like, you know what? Maybe that's what I like about it too. Like he's really is just a young kid Spider-Man. And now we're going to see him go into his college years and all of that. So maybe we'll get more of that mixture of like what other people want, which is more of like Toby's age, Andrew's age a little bit later, like see that college aspect of him. And now also him, nobody knows him. He's on his own. So he's making suits on his own. So we're going to see that friendly neighborhood Spider-Man as I think what's coming up. And I'm feeling that. I'm looking forward to that aspect of it with Tom.
I'm not excited for another Spider-Man. I mean, well, it's look, I'm not trying to be a or anything. It's just kind of run its course at this point. I mean, he's had 3 films in this universe. I'm open to seeing a 4th film. I thought the 3 that we've gotten before were decent. They were definitely better compared to a lot, and I mean a lot of the MC entries. But I'm at the point. I'm just, and as a comic book fan, I'm just wore out by all this stuff. So when someone says, "Are you excited? Are you looking forward to this?" No, because it's pretty much routine at this point. It's habit. I'm not going to get excited by routine. So yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there to criticize it or talk about whatever. But yeah, that's really my thoughts on it.
I'm a big Spider-Man fan, so out of all the MCU stuff that could come out, Spider-Man's like the only thing I have even a slightest inkling of hope for at this point. Supposedly the lineup is Mr. Negative and the Hulk are also supposed to be in it. Spider-Man versus the Hulk
and John Bernthal's Punisher.
Yeah, the Punisher too.
Right.
And Scorpion too.
I think my big fear is overloading it, you know, like, okay, so you're going to have the Punisher, Daredevil,
and Tombstone,
and Tombstone and all these characters in it, and the Hulk. It's like,
and the Hulk,
maybe just do Spider-Man fighting like 3 bad guys. I don't know. You got to set up these bad guys a bit more, you know, get the Sinister Six involved. Like they haven't really had that. They did it a bit with the last one, but it was like alternate dimensions. They haven't done it really since Garfield, where they try to line up all these villains to create the Sinister Six, which in my mind should be the thing. Yeah, they teased it.
Big group movies would never work. You know, I just I don't think that's possible. You know, having that many characters on screen at the same time. It's just
directing too, man. How they handle all those characters, you know.
Yes, and you brought up Generation Offended. You brought up the most recent Spider-Man outing, which I thought was done really well. That's one of those films. You are right. When you bring in that many characters, you have to have a reason for those characters popping up on the screen. And the way they handled those previous arcs from previous Spider-Man films and brought them all together and kind of gave them all perfect little conclusions, in my mind at least, where they tied a bow on everything. So if they bring all these characters in and have a purpose for them being there and not just a, hey guys, what's up? I'm John Bernthal's Punisher. I'll see you later. Let me kill a few people.
Yeah. Well, I think with like the Avengers, everyone had their own movies, right? So when they were all introduced in the Avengers, there was a lot more setup. I think they did it essentially with the second Amazing Spider-Man film, where they tried to push in the Rhino, Green Goblin, Electro. Like it just got a little bit much because you don't have enough running to start with. You know, you need a bit more material, you need a bit more backstory. So I think, having too many characters in a film at once can be a bit much.
It can be if they're not written well and there's not a reason for them being there. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
September 11th. Interesting choice for a date for release there, but Clayface is coming out. This is a project that I think a lot of us really like compared to some of these other comic book movie films that are on the horizon. We don't really know that much at all about this movie. From what we have heard, it's a body horror film. It's going to be very R-rated. It's another one of those interesting James Gunn choices to start your universe with Creature Commandos, Supergirl, Clayface, and even before they were going to start with The Authority. And it's a bold direction. But this film, I think, is probably the exception.
Is it a film or is it a series?
It's a movie, but my biggest question is, will this be connected to the DCU or will this be an Elseworlds film?
I think they go Elseworlds here. And I don't know how you guys feel about horror. I sent you a picture of my studio. If you look at that curio cabinet to the right, it's just filled with horror memorabilia. So Clayface is directly up my alley. James Watkins is the guy who's directing it, which most recent film he did was the Speak No Evil with James McAvoy, which I thought was fantastic. But most important, this is the most important part. That pen and paper is not going to be in James Gunn's hand. He's not writing anything. Instead, Mike Flanagan is writing it. If you don't know about him, did Midnight Mass. He did Haunting of Hill House on Netflix, Haunting of Bly Manor. This guy is an amazing mind in horror. Just with that alone, a great competent horror director, excellent writer, a guy that has a star that just ironclad past in the genre, and makes me so excited for this.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be Elseworlds. I think James Gunn will do a lot to get away from other DC universe stuff and just try to stick with the main canon. Probably, I'm guessing.
I'm actually excited for this. Like it's something that I agree with you, man. I'm right up my alley. Horror stuff is right up my alley. Huge horror fan ever since a kid. This is like right up my alley if it's kind of going to go that horror-ish route of any kind. And it's something that I've just wanted for a long time, whether it be from Marvel, from DC. That is how I want something different like this, like Clayface. Like you said, though, we don't exactly know what it's going to be. It's doubtful that it's going to be like something like the animated series, big giant, or like the games, right? Big giant Clayface. Like, I don't think it's going to be that. I think it might be more grounded in reality. But whether it's that or grounded in reality, something that I want from superhero movies, comic book movies, is something different. I was rewatching Werewolf by Night, right? Like the monsters, the supernatural, seeing Man-Thing. I want more of that, not only in the MCU, but the DCU too. And I want to see like them shed some light on things that we haven't really seen before, bringing back, I guess, like Constantine for one as well, because I want to see Constantine, Zatanna, Deadman, Swamp Thing. I want to see Justice League Dark and all of that stuff. Like even give me some Solomon Grundy. That would be really cool to see. I guess for me, like I said, I just want something different. And I guess that kind of tends to lean more towards the supernatural aspect of things. But for James Gunn, whether he's writing, whether he's directing, or whether he's just producing, or just or just like the head of, the studio in general, I think something that James tends to do, I said it earlier, is kind of focus on obscure characters or groups of characters that are lesser known and kind of make them household names or better known. But even with something like Batman, I dig the fact that what we seemingly that is coming from it, this Batman already exists. The Bat family already exists. I like that. And give me that. Give me dark, brooding, moody, Gotham, family turmoil, villainous villains, and all of that stuff, because we're going to have Superman with the more bright and the colorful and all of that. We're having Green Lantern with the lanterns. Flesh that out. Give me that. Give me like something supernatural. Let's take it to an area within film that we haven't before, and then bringing it back and wrapping it up. That's kind of why I'm excited about Clayface as well, because it's something that we haven't really seen. For me personally, with everything that I just said, that is exactly what I want moving forward from superhero films, things that we haven't seen. Absolutely. And that's one of the big appeals to Marvel in the early days, and even going into more modern times, I guess you could say, before the MCU. And I'm an MCU cuck. And I'm in the but so in the early days, before the MCU, it was just superhero movies. That's what they were. That's the genre. But then the MCU started doing something interesting. They started Ant-Man as a heist film, but it's also a superhero film. And then you had movies like The Winter Soldier, which was a 70s like political thriller, but also a comic book movie. So it's always great to see diversity and to see this, because that's the only way that superhero movies are going to continue to evolve by, being different, like you said. Yeah. December 18th. 2026, the movie that a lot of us have been really interested and intrigued to see how it's going to be, how it's going to perform at the box office, which I've had debates with other people about that. I personally think that there's no chance in hell that this film does not make minimum $1 billion at the box office. Ooh, okay. I have some friends that have been on this show several times that think that it's not going to. And I understand that the climate has changed after the pandemic. Movies just aren't making what they used to make 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. But with the Avengers, just that name, it's going to bring in the butts to the seats at the box office. And are we talking Doomsday? Yes, this is Avengers Doomsday. Here's a caveat too. I think that this trailer that's coming soon in the next couple weeks, it's coming in December. It's going to be the new Avatar film. It's got to really kill it. It's got to really pique people's interest, show them this evil Tony Stark or Victor Von Doom, whoever Robert Downey Jr. is playing in the film. It's really got to be intriguing. I am super excited about this film. I could not be. This is probably the most excited I've been for a comic book movie in years, probably since Spider-Man No Way Home.
And it could go downhill too. I mean, it depends on what they're going to do with a lot of these new characters like Shang-Chi, because we know he's going to be in the movie. I think M'Baku's going to be back. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely an interesting cast of characters. We know the Fox X-Men are coming back for this film. There's a lot of intrigue for me around this. And it's one of those movies that it reminds me of the olden times of comic book movies, going into films not knowing what to expect or what to think. That's how it was back in the early 2000s for us OG comic book movie nerds. But anyway, that's enough for me. What do you guys think?
I'll give you a warning. Get ready to censor. 3, 2, 1. I don't give a about Doomsday.
Oh no!
I don't care. I have been burnt more times than Freddy Krueger by Disney over the last couple of years. I'm not going to walk in and hate it. I don't think. I mean, there is enough to be excited about. I'm just not, because I have been burnt way too much, and I'm not going to walk in with any expectations. The only thing, I guess, if you were to ask me who I'm excited for, obviously Sir Patrick Stewart and Sir Ian McKellen reprising their roles, even though I think it's going to be nostalgia bait. I love both of those gentlemen. I guess I'm excited to see them don their superhero garb again. But other than that, I just don't. And that's not just me being a hater. I just don't care.
Are you excited for the X-Men? Are you an X-Men fan?
I'm a Magneto fan. Let's put it that way. Yeah. As far as my comic book affinity, I'm DC through and through.
Gotcha.
But characters like Magneto, I love Blade, which don't even get me started on Disney and Blade.
I'm with you.
Yeah, but there's certain characters I like out of the MCU, but no, I'm mostly on the DC side of things. I don't hate. I just identify more with DC style.
I think that us fans are kind of like a battered wife at this point with Marvel and DC. We are. Yeah. I mean, every time they're about to release a movie, they're pulling their hand back like that.
Yeah. You burn the meatloaf.
There used to be a time, and it's also like that with the political stuff too. I hate to say that, but it is. Like we're expecting it. Like, oh, don't do it again. Please don't hit me again, Marvel or DC. I totally understand the fan base that feels that way. I'm just a super, probably overly optimistic guy. They could release 7, 8 stinkers in a row, and I would still be coming to the theater for the ninth film.
You're part of the problem.
I love comic book movies to a fault.
I'm more with Toller on this than you, Jonathan. I'm sorry. I think it's going to be a bit of nostalgia bait. I mean, probably a lot of it. Even if it's a fine film, I don't know if it's going to save the MCU at this point. They need to do a hard reset. I think it's become such a mess with all this alternate dimension stuff. It just doesn't make any sense anymore. They lost most of the audience, I think, at this point. Have a nice send-off for the universe, kill off Shang-Chi, the Eternals, kill off, Captain Marvel, have a hard reset. Let's just say we start from ground one. Wait a couple of years and then, recast everybody, start with a fresh face to the whole franchise is what I think they should do.
It would be great to see the rebooted Rogue kill Carol Danvers in this universe. That would be
Is that like a personal attack or something?
When I was in Endgame, everyone cheered and clapped when she got punched. I was like insane how everyone was just like, yes! I've never seen a crowd react to a hero getting knocked down before by Thanos.
That's funny. I'm in the middle. I kind of agree with all points here that have been said for Doomsday. I don't think it's going to break $1 billion. I think it'll do very well just because of the star power that's there as well. Toller said something earlier about I don't remember exactly how you worded it, but basically you said something about superhero fatigue, basically. You said something about
which is burnt out.
Yeah, it's not as popular as it was. If Doomsday came out a couple years ago, oh man, it would definitely, break the bank beyond belief. But I don't know if we're there anymore. I really don't think we're there. I could be wrong, but I don't know if we're there anymore. I think we are very burnt out. Aside from the negatives about it, the positives are, I'm with you, Jonathan, too. I'm really excited about it. I'm stoked. I'm more of a Marvel fan than I was a DC fan. I grew up more on Marvel for sure. Didn't get into DC till a little bit later. X-Men is my top of the top for me. And then Spider-Man and stuff. So I'm excited for those things. A lot of different pros, a lot of different cons, but I'm kind of riding the middle. I'm in the middle between all of everything that was said here.
I feel like you popped your bubble a little bit, Jonathan.
Like I said, a lot of guys that have been on this show before don't agree with me about that, about the 1 billion, but that was something that I was so confident in, and I'm still confident about it. We made a bet that we're going to do a live stream. The loser gets a pie to the face live.
What are you going to do with those pies, boys?
Let me in on that action.
You guys are welcome to join.
I want to ask everybody in here what they feel about, since we're talking about Doomsday, what they feel about RDJ being Doom.
Sure. Yeah, one more. Stupid.
Thank you. Am I the only one? Yeah, okay.
Stupid.
I think it's nostalgia bait. It's just that they realize they've really screwed up here.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, we need to bring back everybody who once made the series great. You know, we're gonna bring back the X-Men again.
Yeah.
We're gonna bring back RDJ, and you know, Hugh Jackman's here, guys. Like, look, everyone, hey, look, it's great. Remember how good it used to be?
I don't think it is just about that. I think that as long as they can do what they did, like we said earlier with Spider-Man No Way Home, and create a really intriguing narrative story with the new characters, but also bringing back these old characters and having them serve a purpose. But there's a lot of what ifs in there for how it's going to go, honestly. But as far as RDJ as Doom, I hated the idea when it first came about.
Yeah.
We talked about that here on the channel.
Yeah.
But over time, it's something that has softened on my conscience a lot since we're still in the multiverse saga, which a lot of people hate and I like. I'm a sucker for those sort of things, like bringing back the Fox X-Men one more time.
Yeah.
As long as they reboot, like we said earlier too, all this stuff after Secret Wars, I say go nuts. I say bring back Lou Ferrigno one last time.
Dude, that would kind of be, I'm not gonna lie, I know that's
God.
like pure nostalgia bait, but I kind of would like to see that just like as a little cameo thing.
Yes.
Just something, even if it's just kind of flashed on screen, it would just satisfy that nerd in me for like a split second.
Yeah.
I think so. I was rewatching Stranger Things season 4 recently, and it kind of reminded me what's going on in Marvel, where it's, you know, they've hit a dead end. You know, the show's gotten away from its former self. And so to bring back the fans, they're just going to try and copy and paste the cover of Stranger Things season 1 onto 4 and be like, hey, remember when Eleven had short hair? Remember when she was like in the tank and stuff? Hey, remember when Hopper was a bit more gritty and like grounded and not like a, you know, whatever. Yeah. We're going to make it more horror based, like how it used to be, and all this stuff that made season 1 so good. They're going to do it again, but it's going to be a really bad imitation of it. It's not going to be how it get, it's not going to be what it once was. It's going to be just a reference, really, nothing more than that.